Her family often teased her about her tendency to daydream, so no way was she going to admit to making 2 rubber fishing lures fall in love. "You took forever. Remember how I'm supposed to leave early?" Paul was already unwrapping his burger and lifting it to his mouth. "Sorry. I ran into Rob and his family, and once I finally got to the diner, there was some new girl there, and she's super slow. I started to wonder if she had to head out back to kill the cow before she made our burgers." Brynn tried to push away that image as she took a bite of her food. At this point, it was cow or worms, so she was choosing the less slimy option. "Okay, I'm eating on the run then." She grabbed the bag, not willing to leave the French fries behind. "Catch you later." "Break a leg," he called on her way out. By the time she made the drive to the theater, she'd managed to get as much of her food on herself as in her mouth. "I swear, I'm such a mess," she muttered. Luckily, she was a prepared mess. She glanced around, then grabbed her spare shirt from the bag she kept behind the passenger seat. Her heart quickened a bit as she got ready to make the switch. Maybe I'll just wait and change inside. But she was already late, and then she'd have to take in her huge bag, and no one else parked behind the auditorium anyway. She yanked her shirt over her head. Of course, the button got caught in her hair because it was one of those kinds of days. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Pricks of pain dashed across her scalp as she pulled. Finally, she got it free, though there was a nice chunk of black hair around the yellow button. She pulled on her spare shirt and flung open the door of her car, and noticed the guy standing nearby. He looked away, but he'd clearly gotten a show. Heat climbed up her neck and settled into her cheeks. She'd like to say it was the first time she'd accidentally flashed someone. Hopefully, between her car and tinted windows, she'd been partially hidden, but she still said a silent thank you that she'd been wearing her cute pink bra. And at least it wasn't like back in high school when it had been in front of an auditorium of people and her bottom half on display, which was much, much worse, cute underwear or not. Thinking of that moment must be making her see things, because no, it couldn't be. The guy looked exactly like Sawyer Raines, the same guy she used to have the hugest, most embarrassing crush on. Back then, her list went something like smokin' hot, completely oblivious she was alive, and so far out of her league it was more like another sport completely. Sawyer Raines had been all those things and then some. The guy all the girls wanted as their boyfriend, so of course she'd chosen him to obsess over. And now she was staring at the Sawyer look-alike, and those butterflies she'd thought had died in her stomach long ago were flapping their sad, unused wings, attempting to fly. "Oh no, bad idea, butterflies. That's a good way to get shot down." "Sorry," the Sawyer look-alike said, running a hand through his thick brown hair. "I was just passing by and saw me half naked." She tugged on the bottom of her shirt, like covering every inch now would make up for not having it covered a moment ago. That's when she noticed his eyes. Oh, geez, she'd once described them in her journal as 2 glowing emeralds because she'd wanted to sound poetic. And who wouldn't want an emerald-eyed boyfriend, right? It's him. Her pulse started climbing, and the flush was spreading faster and hotter, and he just saw me in my underwear for the second time. All the awkwardness from high school came rushing back to her, twisting her stomach into a tight knot. She remembered being looked through like she wasn't there, then being whispered about and laughed at, which had made her wish people would just go back to ignoring her. That awful nickname. The crushing rejection from the very guy standing across from her. For a moment, she thought she might throw up, right there on the asphalt. Sawyer extended his hand toward her. "Anyway, I'm late." She charged toward the theater, head down. At least she was about to go pretend to be someone else for a while. Right now, she thought it'd be nice to never be herself again. So much for small-town charm, Sawyer thought, as he watched the woman walk away from him. But he supposed he was technically in Charlotte now. It was funny that driving 30 minutes from the lake made such a difference, but he swore people were more relaxed next to the water. He'd only been back in North Carolina for a week, but he'd been almost paranoid at first over how nice people were. Maybe 5 years in the Big Apple had changed him. He missed